after a rainout last night. What does that mean? Well, it means an old-fashioned doubleheader. 3 games in 24 hours. 2 today, day game tomorrow. A lot of baseball in a very small period of time. The Dodgers only visit the Citi Field this year. The compacted version of a 3-game series, and Johan Santana to boot. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play a doubleheader with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mets baseball on SNY is presented by Delta, and today's game is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets played an old-fashioned twilight doubleheader against the Los Angeles Dodgers after the Mets got rained out yesterday. The Mets are on a roll right now. They've won 6 out of 7 on this homestand with 3 more to play in a very short period of time. Now, Keith, a twilight doubleheader today, a day game tomorrow. This is kind of unusual for players. When you get set to play this much baseball in this short a period of time, do you prepare any differently?
Well, I think it affects the catcher more than anybody else. Obviously, you can't expect a catcher to go 3 games. Barajas gets the start in the first game. He will get the start tomorrow. It used to be the twilight doubleheaders were 5:30 starts, and you wouldn't get done to around 12:30 at night. So this is a lot better, this scheduling at 4 o'clock with a second game starting at 7. The guys can get a good night's sleep. You know, I think most of the everyday players out there outside the catchers, they want to play every day.
And they've had a day off yesterday because of the rain, and a rain-shortened game on Sunday night, just 5 innings plus 1 pitch. That makes it a little easier. Both managers have to decide how to configure their pitching for this game. As far as Jerry Manuel was concerned, there was really no question he was going to go with Johan Santana in Game 1.
Well, when you have a star like Santana, really your decision is this. Hey, Johan, what game would you like to pitch? I'll pitch Game 1. And that's how it usually works out. And it's also great for the Mets to have your ace going first. Don't forget, though, having to choose these starters, Santana knows going in the first game, when you're talking about 3 games in 24 hours, so important. Try to go as deep as you can to save that bullpen. That's going to be the problem. And pitching for the Dodgers today is Kuroda. And Kuroda coming out of that Japanese league where he played for 11 seasons. He was a star in that league in 2005 on the MVP and the Gold Glove. And he's been hurt a little bit, especially last season. But low ERA, he throws strikes, but he's always had trouble against the Mets.
He has never gone more than 5 innings against the Mets in any of his career starts. The Mets will try and keep that going today against Joe Torre's Dodgers. Mets and Dodgers doubleheader baseball coming up on SNY. Brought to you by Geico, by AT&T Rethink Possible, by Frostbrewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer, by American Airlines. We know why you fly. We're American Airlines. By Delta, New York's most global airline. It's a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. And by Bigelow Tea, Joe Torre and Wayne Gretzky's green tea of choice. Get insight and opinion on today's Mets-Dodgers doubleheader, plus up-to-the-minute Mets news, insider info, and exclusive behind-the-scenes video on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Here's your Chevy around the majors for today. A Little League game, as Ronnie would put it, for Josh Johnson. 12 strikeouts, complete game, 3-hitter, 3 hits, 3 RBIs for the Marlins right-hander. I guess he's over the flu now. The Brewers win 17-3 against the Pirates, 22nd straight time that Milwaukee has beaten Pittsburgh at Miller Park. And Ryan Howard, 5-year, $125 million extension. He went 0 for 3 in the Phillies loss to the Giants.
Well, in that Marlin game, Uggla hit his 5th home run. He's hitting .329. The Brewers now have outscored the Pirates in the last 4 games, 53-4. And congratulations, Ryan. Very nice.
It's a breezy day at Citi Field. Temperature right around 53 degrees as we get set for a long day and a following day of baseball. Johan Santana takes the mound when we come back. Now, 4 starts this year. In 3 of the 4, he's allowed 1 run or less, and the Mets hope to get just that from Santana today as he takes on the Dodgers, who just lost 2 out of 3 in Washington over the weekend. Matt Kemp, who had a breakout season last year, off to a very hot start, as the Dodgers have had a great offensive beginning to their season, not so much their pitching, although they scored just 5 runs in 3 games in D.C. over the weekend. Rafael Furcal leads things off, and the long day of baseball is underway as Santana throws ball 1.
Well, traditionally, Santana's been outstanding against the Dodgers. A couple starts, 2-0, a 0.61 ERA. His only nemesis, second place hitter Reed Johnson, 12 for 22.
It's been a bounce-back season so far for Rafael Furcal. 2 years ago, he had back surgery, which seemed to slow him a good portion of last year, but he's back to stealing bases. You see there, second in the National League, something he has not been doing in recent years. Furcal now 32 years old, hitting at .312 on the year, and Santana misses 2-1. For Johan, his 5th start of the year, comes off a victory over the Cubs his last time out, went 6 1/3, allowed a run on 8 hits in a 2-1 Met win. And Furcal smacks one foul, 2-2. And in this first inning, at least, Santana throwing that fastball at 87 and 88 miles an hour.
It seems to have been kind of a tradition so far in his first few starts that he does start a little slower, and then when he gets in trouble, pumps that ball in there 90-91.
Hit there for a call, strike 3. Got him looking at the changeup. And so Santana begins the afternoon with a strikeout.
Can't get any better than this. Great movement, speed 10 miles an hour different than his fastball, and great placement on that outside corner.
So 1 out and nobody on, and here is the aforementioned Reed Johnson, 12 for 22 against Santana in his career, having crossed paths quite a bit in the American League. Johnson filling in left field, one of several trying to take the spot of Manny Ramirez, who is on the disabled list with a calf injury. Of course, you don't really replace Manny, you merely fill the spot until he's ready to come back.
In more ways than one.
Reed Johnson is he's Santana's version of Tommy Hutton against Tom Seaver. So if you have a guy who's owned you like that, what do you do?
Well, I think it's more of the type of hitter that Johnson is, as opposed to Santana changing too much. Johnson's one of those guys. He's gritty. He gets right on the plate. He's a guy that'll foul off a lot of pitches. You know, Santana does his best work against the bigger hitters that have the big swings and the swing over the changeup. Johnson's one of those guys that likes to hit the ball to right field. That's a great way to attack Santana. Did he go, Keith?
No, I don't think he did.
Got a rookie umpire, Dan Bellino, at first base, who made the call on the half swing. 1-2 the count to Johnson. And he hits it to center field. Angel Pagan drifting over. And on a sunny, windy day, Pagan makes the grab for the second out.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at the Metsy defense, brought to you by Lexus. And you can see David Wright's made 4 errors this season, and he's been kind of, we talked about it, been backhanding balls down the line. Chip Hill, the infield coach, has had him do that, claiming the gloves are bigger. I don't know if I agree with that. I always felt as an infielder, if you can get in front of a ball, get in front of it. Because it takes a bad hop, it's going to come off your chest, particularly if you're a corner infielder, because the ball gets by you down the line, that's a double.
Here's Andre Ethier, hitting at .356. The specialist in the walk-off hit.
Yeah.
He's had 10 of them since the start of the 2008 season, more than anybody in baseball.
On base percentage of .424.
The Dodgers have a young core in the middle of their order with Ethier and Matt Kemp and James Loney that has just gotten better and better over the last couple of years.
They've improved. The problem is that their younger pitchers, Billingsley and Kershaw, are still taking baby steps to improve.
Pitch. 1-2 to Ethier.
Well, the Dodgers, you know, a couple of years ago before Joe came over, they were going with Juan Pierre, a lot of veteran players, and they had these young kids out there that I thought should have been playing every day, and now they are.
Santana ahead 1-2. And the rollover down to first, and Ike Davis right in front of it to make the play on Ethier to end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Dodgers. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first. No score. Jeff Francoeur gets his first game off as Gary Matthews Jr. starts in right field. Jason Bay's starting to heat up since Jose Reyes has been ahead of him in the lineup. Mets have not been scoring a ton, but enough with all the good pitching they've gotten, and they've won 6 out of 7. As Angel Pagan leads off against Hiroki Kuroda.
Well, Kuroda's got a lot of movement. They really like him. He had a tough year last year. He had a strained oblique. And I don't know if you fans remember, he was hit in the head by a line drive by Arizona Diamondbacks' Rusty Ryle and was out for a long period of time.
As impressive as anything else again about Kuroda, as you look at his numbers this year, was the way he came back after the concussion that he suffered on that line drive.
You know, record-wise, he was 3-2, but he pitched much better than that. And then this season, even though his record is fine, they've made 5 errors behind him, the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have really struggled in the field.
Well, they lead the National League with 20 errors, lowest in fielding percentage. I don't give too much credence to fielding percentage, but with the 20 errors, it's very glaring.
Pagan lifts one down the left field line, and that'll go out of play.
And Pagan struggling right now, 1 for 19, and he's having a tough time.
Well, all the talk is about Reyes going to the third spot. Not a lot of talk was spent on how Angel Pagan is going to bat leadoff and bat well for this Met team.
Funny thing is, Reyes has been more like a leadoff guy in the third spot over these first few games. And fashioned the Mets' only run Sunday night after reaching with 2 out and nobody on. Stroke down to third, and Casey Blake gets in front of it and throws out Pagan for the first out.
And speaking of defense, we'll take a look at the Dodger defense brought to you by Coors Light. And you can see right there the 20 errors. We just touched on that. A lot of the errors have been happening up in the middle infield. Right now, DeWitt is not in the lineup. He's their second baseman. He's been struggling. Furcal's has been struggling. And Belliard has made some sloppy errors. And evidently, Russell Martin's been having a very, very tough time throwing a lot of balls into center field. And evidently, Matt Kemp in center field is not backing up.
Luis Castillo up with a 1 out and nobody on. And the other piece of that is Kemp won a Gold Glove in center field last year, but he has not been playing well out there so far this year, which is a little bit of a surprise.
You know, when he first came up, they used to put him in right field, and it was an adventure, Soriano-like adventure every time the ball went out there.
Slowly hit, and Jamie Carroll playing second base throws out Castillo for the second out.
Well, I call him super sub, right? Jamie Carroll, one of those guys who can play any position, one of those go-getters.
That's why he's still hanging around.
There you go.
He's a hustler, middle infielder.
Well, here's Reyes. When we last saw the Mets on Sunday night, Reyes in the first inning against Tommy Hanson blooped a hit, stole second, took third on an infield hit, and scored on a throwing error by Chipper Jones, and that was the only run the Mets scored in that rain-shortened 1-0 win. And for historic purposes, 1-0 rain-shortened win with an unearned run, the only run. It's happened only twice now since 1950.
Wow.
And the previous time was in 1965. That's how rare that is. Furcal stumbling around with the wind and stays with it. And the Mets are down 1-2-3. I think we're going to see some adventurous fly balls today here at Citi Field. Pickup packs include a premium location ticket to a Subway Series game at Citi Field, plus one game each in June, July, August, and September. Get your summer premium pickup pack now at Mets.com. Johan Santana working a 1-2-3 first inning will take on Matt Kemp leading off in the second. Kemp, who had a breakout season last year, off to a fine start this year, tied for the league lead in home runs and RBIs, and goes after the first pitch fastball and fouls it off. Kemp also leading the league in runs scored for a Dodger team that has a team batting average of .293, the best in the league, averaging 5.7 runs per game, third in the league. So offense has not been a huge concern for the Dodgers so far this year. But the caveat to that, if you look at Don Mattingly, and he could provide some offense back in the day.
Instant.
The caveat is that since Manny Ramirez went out of the lineup, the Dodgers offense has sagged somewhat. Last year they survived very well without Manny when he was under suspension. They had Juan Pierre then to fill in left field. They might not have as adequate a replacement this year. Joe Torre, now in his third year as Dodgers skipper, led them to the Western Division title each of the first 2 years. You see what they've done the last 4 games since that hot start. Just inside, it's 2-2.
And it might be skewed a little because sometimes this early return on runs scored, they've scored 9 or more 5 times. So they've had some blowouts that have knocked those runs up. Shut out twice in their last few games.
Well, either way you slice it, Joe has brought this Dodger team back into the postseason. Last year won the first round, and then were defeated by the Phils in the championship round.
When I look at the Dodger team this year, though, you look at their pitching and you wonder whether they're going to be able to get back to the postseason.
Well, I think in the past, Randy Wolf served as a good kind of 4th, 5th starter, but the problem is their 2 best young pitchers.
Kemp hits one to dead center, and Pagan easing back with the sunglasses on.
Boy, I tell you what, you take nothing for granted in that outfield. There's Rick. He used to cut the ball up, didn't he, Ronnie?
Yes.
Sandpaper and a file and a razor blade, I think.
Rick Honeycutt, the Dodger pitching coach.
He's a former teammate. I'm not allowed to tell. I was talking about Billingsley and Kershaw. They're 2 young pitchers, so talented. But I was talking to Larry Boa, and Boa said both those guys throw so many pitches they barely make it into the 5th or 6th inning, which puts so much pressure on their bullpen night in and night out.
Here's Casey Blake, who just continues to roll at age 36. Hit 2 home runs on Saturday in Washington. And there's Vicente Padilla, who's on the disabled list, and it's because of Padilla's absence that the Dodgers are going to have to call up the pitcher to go tomorrow, and they're now saying he's not allowed to throw a ball for the next week to 10 days. Padilla was their opening day starter. And, they don't have a whole lot of depth in AAA to fill in there. They're probably going to bring up Josh Towers, a journeyman, to pitch tomorrow.
So everything's kind of falling the Mets' way here a little bit,
It's just funny how the Dodgers have changed because, they've traditionally been a pitching-heavy franchise.
It's kind of streaky, isn't it? The organizations, Dodgers and Mets, for the most part, you'd have to say, have always been pitching-rich organizations. But this time around, and you mentioned it with Loney, Kemp, and Ethier, the players have developed ahead of the pitchers.
3-1 to Blake, and that's a strike 3-2. And there's James Loney hitting 6th in the order against the left-hander. 3-2 to Blake, and that time tanked the ball 4, and Blake's the first base runner of the game. So a 1-out walk issued by Santana, just the 7th walk in 25 innings this year. Well, here's Loney getting a .325, 26 hits, ties him for 6th in the National League.
This is only the 5th game the Dodgers have played against left-hand starter. For 2-2 on the year. And don't hit with much power thus far. The only guy with a home run against the left-hander is on the bench, and that's Ronnie Bellio.
So Santana out of the stretch for the first time. And ball 1 to Loney. Ted Barrett, a veteran, calling the balls and strikes today. Dan Bellino, a minor league umpire, called up because of the doubleheader, because the home plate umpires in each game will not work the other game. Paul Nard and the crew chief Brian Gorman rounding out the crew. One out of Loney, and a swing and a miss at a fastball. Keith, twilight games always present issues on when the sun is out as far as shadows are concerned. When is the worst time for the hitters?
The old 5:30 starts are tough. So the players right now, the first hour of this ball game, starting at 4, first hour and a half is going to be okay. We can get an overhead view from Al's camera. We can see kind of the shadows creeping from the third base line, and they'll creep in this direction. And once that line right there, that's that big line of the roof gets over halfway between home and the pitcher, then that's trouble. And that's usually around 5:30, 6 o'clock. That always.
Castillo gets in front of it. They get the force, and that's all, as Reyes has to go airborne to avoid Casey Blake coming in hard.
Good clean slide by Blake. And this is right close enough to the bag, able to touch it. Make sure Reyes doesn't try to turn the two, because Reyes has got that great arm. We all know about that.
Kind of an in-between hop for Castillo. Wasn't able to get that ball to Reyes in time.
You know, talking about the shadows, Gary, it just reminds me of the 1980 All-Star game. It was 80 or 81 in Dodger Stadium. I forget. It was 81. J.R. Richards threw the twilight part of the game. He started, and he just blew away the American League. Went through the 2 innings. I think he struck out 5. I'm not sure. But it was in the shadows, and they did not have a chance.
Unfair fight
against JR. And I know Dave is going to look it up over there. It was an impressive performance, Dave. You will see.
With Russell Martin trying to bounce back from a subpar 2009. And off to a good start, hitting a .304. Laid up a good portion of spring training with a groin injury, but was ready for opening day. 1-1 to Martin.
A nice overhead view right there, so you can see the shadows. Those shadows with the light towers in front of that is problematic for a hitter.
How about the third baseman right? Is that a problem for him at all?
Well, he seems they could be. It's just always as tough in twilight, even though we are late afternoon here.
And because the stadium is turned just a little bit from where the configuration of Shea Stadium. At Shea, the sun would set directly behind home plate. Here it's a little bit off to the third base side. Not quite as stark as what you have in Colorado, where the sun sets down the left field line, but just a little different.
The stadium is turned a little more north. Is that it? Yeah. Northwest or.
See David between the intermittent shadows over at third.
Yep, guarding the line again, as we've noticed. Santana with the changeup. More apt to pull him on the changeup, the right-hand hitters.
The runner takes off, rough too soon. Davis with the throw, and Reyes cannot get the tag down in time, and Loney has a stolen base. Well, Loney left too early, but he winds up stealing the bag, his 4th of the year.
Well, let's take a peek here. He almost buried himself into the ground. That's a good call. He beat it. How about that? Usually, well, he just kept going once you're stuck. See, what Ike didn't do there, he did step towards the pitcher, but you also want to step towards the pitcher and a little more towards second base to shorten that throw down.
3rd stolen base of the year against Santana, which in past years has been a rarity. And now he falls behind Martin 3-1.
We'll take another look here. We'll just see Ike. See, go to the ball. Go. And he should have been in here. A little bit slow reacting.
And he could have went with 2 hands there. You know what's pretty interesting about that, Keith? That is the first baseman's version of turning 2. Coming to get the ball and firing it to second base.
Once that runner commits and is out in nowhere's land, that's when you rush towards the pitcher to shorten down his throw. The ball 4 again here. Here, I will not take over your chores of play-by-play. Trust me.
Go right ahead.
I don't want you to feel threatened.
It's a long day, Keith. You know, we all need to help each other where we can. So 2 walks in the inning by Santana, as walks continue to pile up for Met pitchers. Santana not generally guilty of that, but the Mets have issued the most walks of any staff in the National League.
But I think all in all, Gary, Met fans and us up here in the booth have got to be just really pleased about how the Mets have been pitching.
Well, the starters have been magnificent.
Oh, goodness.
The last 11 games, Mets starters have given up 3 runs or less in every game, and they have a collective ERA of 1.28 over those 11 games.
But, you know, I like what Jerry Manuel said. He said, listen, we are pitching so well with runners in scoring position. We have too many runners out there because I equate it to playing in traffic. We keep playing in traffic, one of us is going to get hit. So we need to reduce the base runners.
Jamie Carroll playing second base today to give the Dodgers an extra right-handed bat against Santana. Regular second baseman Blake DeWitt is a left-hand hitter. Santana struggling a bit with his command behind 2-0.
Well, one, it seems like it's dropped about 10 degrees since we went on air. Secondly, the wind is such a factor that I didn't see an hour ago. You can see all the uniforms, not only on Santana, but on the rest of the players. You see Kuroda whipping in this breeze.
So now with 2 on and 2 out, it's 2-0 to Carroll. And it's taken high 3-0. 21-mile-an-hour winds out of the west-northwest, gusting to 39 miles an hour right now. And Ronnie, as a pitcher, does that affect you?
Absolutely. What it affects is that when the wind is like that and it's cold, your fingers get really slippery and you can't get a good grip on the baseball. And I think that's what's affecting Santana here early.
Ron, did you use pine tar on nights like this? Or were you allowed? Was it illegal?
No, it was illegal. I never used pine tar, but I always wore long sleeves, and I would wet the entire left part of my sleeve, so that way I could go to my hand, grab my left sleeve, and I had moisture there.
With water?
With water, yeah.
Not sure now it didn't do Vaseline.
No.
Air conditioning in your sleeve.
Did you see my ERA at the end? There was no Vaseline involved.
And Carroll takes a letter-high strike and a full count.
Boy, that was a high fastball right there. I thought I was out of the strike zone.
So Loney will be in motion. So will Martin with 3-2 and 2 down.
Matthews is going to have to be alert. Castillo and Davis. Carroll loves to go that other way. Shoot that ball to right field.
And Louis really playing like a full hitter.
Payoff pitch to Carroll. And he fouls back the fastball. Jamie Carroll, former Montreal Expo, was part of the Colorado Rockies miracle 21 out of 22 team coming down the stretch in 07.
But you always remember the holiday slide. Well, the young man who hit that base hit was Jamie Carroll.
That was in the one-game playoff against San Diego for the wild card that year when the Rockies fell behind by 2 runs in the 13th inning and came back against Trevor Hoffman, and Carroll had the game winner. They'll run again with 3-2 and 2 down. Too high, ball 4. So Santana has loaded the bases on walks here in the second inning.
And I think if you're the pitching coach, Dan Worth, and I don't know if he'll go out there with the veteran Santana, but the theme to this inning is that his ball has been up in the strike zone. Almost every pitch he misses has been up high.
Yep.
And he's going to have to try to make that adjustment. Veteran pitchers usually can do that on the fly on their own, and it helps to have the pitcher up.
0 for 6 this year, lifetime 136 hitter in 88 at bats. And Kuroda bats with the bases loaded and 2 down.
Oh boy.
So Santana continues to have trouble finding the strike zone. 28 pitches already in this inning.
Well, I got to think Kuroda's taking a strike here.
And he takes one, jumping away, 1-1.
I think I'd have him take another one too.
Yeah, if I were hitting, it wouldn't matter what the coach said. I'm taking.
Rafael Furcal would be next. And Kuroda showing bunt. 2-1. Santana, by the way, has given up a grand slam to a pitcher before.
The King.
That's right.
Felix Hernandez at Shea Stadium. Just trying to find his way through here in the second inning. 2-1 to Kuroda. And that's a strike, 2-2. Well, Kuroda's been up there looking. Now he's got to be up there thinking about swinging. will be the 32nd pitch of the inning. Kuroda stays in. Roki Kuroda batting with the bases loaded. Loney at third, Martin at second, and Carroll at first on 3 walks issued by Johan Santana. 2-2. Fouled away. Kuroda, who spent 11 years in the Japanese Central League pitching for the Hiroshima Taiyo Carp. Now in his 3rd year. Again to swing the bat. Santana tries it again, and Kuroda fouls it off again. 3 in a row.
Not always the best sign when you see your best pitcher early on. Not only is he out of the strike zone, but even against the pitcher here, the pitcher has enough to foul pitches off.
You want to just keep firing fastballs, or would you throw a changeup here?
Well, you don't want to go past 2-2 with the bases loaded. So I think you're just taking your chance that the pitcher's going to get himself out.
And it misses inside. Now it's 3-2. So a troubling second inning for Santana. And now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Time to take a John Franco moment and tie your shoe.
The laces.
Johnny used to do this all the time just to be able to catch his breath.
I never liked to see a guy tie a double knot now. I never liked that. I used to cut those shoelaces just for one bow and then get a cigarette lighter and just light the end because it's always burn that little end off.
Don't lie. You had Velcro. You had the Velcro shoes.
Don't play with fire. Runners get set to take off with 3-2 and 2 down. Struck him out. Well, Santana finally wins the battle and keeps the Dodgers off the scoreboard.
Might have been ball 4.
Is brought to you by Amtrak's Acela Express. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com. Hey, play hooky and get to Citi Field as the series with the Dodgers concludes tomorrow afternoon at 1:10 p.m. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now.
We're not encouraging playing hooky, are we?
I guess we are.
What's going on? That's not right.
You never played hooky and came to a ball game?
Yes, of course I did.
I mean, I know you were a very studious kid.
Just to keep my parents off my back, yes.
Jason Bay leads off the home second inning. Jason 5 for 9 over the last 3 games and has gone 12 at bats without a strikeout. It may not seem like much, but that's a very good sign for Bay right now that he's starting to come around.
Well, I said 3-4 games ago that I thought he was swinging the bat better, and he says he feels much better.
Well, we talk about it all the time as we watch Bay face Kuroda about the American players whose fathers were great. Well, Kuroda came. His dad, Kazuhiro Kuroda, was a great Japanese player in the Japanese leagues.
Slider on the corner, 1-2. David Wright on deck, and then Ike Davis for the Mets here in the second.
Even the Canadian Bay blowing in his hand, trying to get some heat.
It's a chilly afternoon with a lot of wind blowing as Bay grounds one behind the bag at third. Blake had him play perfectly and throws him out, 1 away.
I'll say one thing. Jason Bay, along with Angel Pagan, they run everything out. See, watch. Even though he played the backhand there on the line, that ball was a bullet. Did get a lot of his body in front. Well, not really. That's a tough chance, right? That ball's hit hard.
Again, though, another team, even with the right-handed Kuroda pitching, third basemen seem to be playing so much tighter to the line. I don't know if it's a new evolution for teams to say, hey, we're going to take away the double. Worst that happens is a ground ball. The outfielder between third and short is just a single.
Here's David Wright, 3 hits shy of 1,000 for his career, but just 6 for his last 40. As the strikeouts have mounted for David, now he's struck out in 12 straight games, the longest streak of his career.
Well, he's just got the problem with a little bit of that long swing, and you look at David's in much better shape this year. He lifted in the offseason, much stronger, but it's all about his too much length in his swing. Hasn't been able to get around on the fastball. He normally crushes. And therefore, you're allowing the pitcher to get another pitch at you to make his pitch instead of being out of the box. I said it a million times before. You're out of the box. You've already put that ball in play hard somewhere. See, he's tardy on that one, too. And it's just, I've been trying to pinpoint where he's getting this extra length, and I can't figure it out. I think it's in his take back. I just, for the life of me, can't figure it out, because he's just, when he first came up, Gary, we all saw him. He was just so short and quick and crisp with his swing.
I always felt his hands were higher and they did less than they do now.
2-2 from Kuroda, and he lays off the slider, 3-2. Well, the one thing that's generally gotten David healthy if he's been in a slump has been playing the Dodgers.
There you go.
A .425 lifetime batting average against LA, his highest against any team. Now he's worked it to 3-2 against Kuroda, and he fouls another one off.
See, those are pitches that David puts in play. That's up and away fastball that David would drive into right center field.
You know, Jerry was saying, Keith, that over the winter they tried to make some adjustments with David so he could handle the middle of the plate in pitch, which I would rather him stay with his strength, was always middle away. And if you get jammed in, you get jammed in.
Well, one thing David's done very well this year is be patient and work out walks, and that's the 20th one that he's drawn this year, the most in the National League, and the Mets have their first base runner of the day. And now Ike Davis, his 8th major league start. Jeff Francoeur getting his first
You see with
game off.
They're all talking David swing, aren't they?
Yep, and yes, and I almost want to say that maybe David's bringing the point of that bat over his head. We'll take a look at it next time up. Sorry, Gary. It was one of my bellwethers. If I had Bill Robinson watch for me, my take back, I didn't want the barrel top of my bat to go towards the pitcher over my head.
So you wanted it straight up and down?
I mean, if my bat came over my head and then had to come all this way, that's how I had Bill watch. I made sure that it didn't go past this point. Now David's goes, I look like an idiot up there. But
no more than usual.
See, watch. Let's just see. Watch the tip of his bat, and look at this. And he's wiggling it now. We'll watch it. That's a lot to come around now.
Not quite Julio Franco, but in that neighborhood.
Yes. I don't know if that's the answer. It's just a surmise.
So here's Ike Davis. He takes low and away, 2-0.
Right now it's okay for the hitter because the pitcher is going to be stepping forward in here or releasing the ball, and it's not going to be very long in shadows. It's going to get in that sunlight quickly.
Right now you just have the shadow of the light stanchion with the pitcher in that and the hitter in sunlight. Right has 6 stolen bases this year. And Davis goes the other way, and he's got himself a base hit. Played very deep by Johnson. Wright will go to third. Chip Hale stops him there. Davison at second base with an opposite field double. Second and third and 1 out.
Well, nicely done. Ball's inner half, not in enough, and it kind of inside outs a little bit. And that is sweet hitting. That is music to my ears. They want to come up right down the pipe. The ball could have pulled. Well, that wasn't even inside out. Excuse me. He just went up the middle. That's nice hitting. This kid's got tremendous potential. I just like what I see.
Second double, third extra base hit for Ike. So a scoring chance for the Mets here in the second with the 7-hitter, Gary Matthews Jr. coming up. It's been almost a week and a half since Gary got a start, with Angel Pagan now a fixture in center field. Matthews playing for Jeff Francoeur in game 1 today. And he was to have played last night, too, if these two teams had been able to start. And they're going to walk Matthews intentionally and pitch to Rod Barajas with the bases loaded.
Wow.
Fascinating, considering that Matthews has not been hitting a lick. And Barajas, as we know, is a guy who's going to swing hard and has a chance to hit it a long way.
And I think what Joe's thinking is that with the walking of Matthews, it gives him an opportunity with Barajas to try to turn a double play.
Yeah, but to me,
I don't like
you are setting up a big inning.
Yeah.
If you get Matthews out and you get a run, then you can pitch around Barajas to get the pitcher up.
The other thing is Barajas is a fly ball hitter. He does not hit a lot of ground balls. And that doesn't mean he's not going to here, but if you look at the charts, he's much more of a fly ball hitter.
Well, who am I to say, Joe? 14 straight years in the playoffs? Whatever you say, Joe.
Well, if I'm Mr. Kuroda, you better throw a first pitch slider, because if it's a first pitch fastball, Rod's going to put a swing on it.
This is also the first time Barajas has faced Kuroda, so that might have something to do with it too. Whereas Matthews was 2 for 4 against Kuroda. Rod's been struggling a bit, 4 for his last 28, but one of those 4 was a second deck home run here at Citi Field. So the base is loaded and 1 out. And Kuroda now faced with a jam. And starts him off with a slider, and Barajas lays off.
Always love in an RBI situation, particularly with the bases loaded, a pitcher to fall behind 1-0 with his breaking ball. Love it.
Mets as a team just 2 for 15 with the bases loaded this year. And Barajas takes a rip at the fastball, 1-1.
Big movement on that one.
Kuroda's got good stuff, Keith. Good movement, good slider.
Look at that sink.
Usually doesn't walk anyone, but a couple in this inning, 1 intentional.
Only 3 walks in 21 innings before today as Santana waits on deck. Barajas trying to at least make some contact, get that ball in the air, and get a run in. And he floats one foul, 1-2.
Keith, I'm with you about the pitching to Matthews. A couple of reasons. One is because Matthews has not been hitting. Secondly, if you wanted to pitch around Barajas, you could. But even more importantly, Santana can hit. I mean, if I'm out there pitching, it's not like I know Santana's going to come up and I'm automatically going to get him out. That's not going to always happen. So if it's an automatic out pitcher, you don't mind.
I'm just fearful of setting up a big inning. As you see the defense there pretty much straight away.
Maybe Joe's thinking, though, with Santana on the mound, maybe one run could be the game. 1-2 to Barajas, and it gets away from Martin. Here comes Wright from third. Martin's toss, not in time, and the Mets take the lead. Well, the ball went 5-hole on Russell Martin. Played it off the back fence, but not in time to get the streaking David Wright, and it's 1-0 New York.
Well, poor fundies right here by Martin. You don't backhand. You get down and get your glove face forward like a hockey goalie. And he was late getting the throw home. And David, excellent reaction here. That's a good angle right here. Watch. No hesitation.
And the reason you don't backhand that is because he might have made the play, but the ball hit the plate, and when it hits the plate, it skids. And it's interesting, if we'll see another shot of that, if David ever touched the plate. Went right over the foot of Kuroda.
So now a run is in, second and third and one out. 2-2 to Barajas. The infield stays back, and Barajas just gets a piece of that slider to stay in there.
Take a look at this one, Keith. Does he get his foot in, or does it slide right over Kuroda's foot?
Oh, good. Did he get it in?
Oh, boy. Might have got the fingers down right there.
I tell you what, that's why you don't want to slide. Ever slide, all you kids. Never slide head first, home plate.
You know, if Kuroda had been more into it, if he'd dropped the knee, Wright would have never gotten to the plate.
Drop a knee and then have a serious separated shoulder. And looking at 8 weeks on the DL.
Barajas hanging in here on 2-2, trying to get another run in. And he struck him out. So Kuroda fans Barajas. So the strategy worked except for the wild pitch. And now there are 2 out of the inning.
Here's the Coors Light freeze cam. Give us a peek. Let's look at David's hand. It goes over his foot, but has a pinky touch on the back side of his foot.
Oh, boy. You know, also, if you slide feet first, you can come right into that ankle of the pitcher and really put a hurt on him. Sorry.
No, that's what you would do.
He's getting in the way. I'm sorry.
Very hard to tell from that angle if Wright touched the plate, but Ted Barrett was behind Wright, so there's no way he could have known one way or the other. Here's Johan Santana, and he lifts one to left field, and Reed Johnson drifting to the line and across to make the grab to end the inning. But the Mets get a run on the wild pitch and give Santana a run to work with heading for the third. Begins rookie minicamp plus one-on-one interviews with some of the newest members of the 2010 team on an all-new Jets Nation Sunday at 7 only on SNY.
All your kids, look at this. You got bases loaded. You've got to be more in a crouched position, ready to move, and that's just lazy. I'm sorry.
You've got to almost make more like hockey goalie when there's a guy on third base. Everything has to stay in front of you.
Rafael Furcal leading off the third with the Dodgers now down 1-0. Took a call third strike his first time up. Santana labored through the second. Walked 3. Went 3-2 on the pitcher before finally striking out Kuroda and getting through the jam. Now back out there for the third. And over 50 pitches already. You know, we mentioned earlier the walks that Mets starters have suffered through as Barajas knocks it down and it's in the dirt. Strike 3 as Furcal went around and he's struck out for the second time.
But Keith, something you usually see from Santana, that's a slider down and in that he's trying to use this year against the right-handed hitters. I love it when he throws it out of the strike zone, not in the strike zone. And when you have a right-handed hitter like Furcal with all the at-bats he's had against Santana, you throw him a new wrinkle, that's the result.
Now Reed Johnson bats with 1 out. Johnson flied to center his first time up. One strike to Johnson. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys out here in right field watching Gary Matthews Jr. play right field for the first time and really has never had a chance to shag even a fly ball here because yesterday it rained and then today it was raining, so no BP on the field. I asked him about playing right field here. He said, well, one thing, he was taking a cue from Jeff Francoeur. He was going to play deeper than he normally would. But I have to say, Andre Ethier's actually played a deeper right field so far in this game. And then I asked him about the communication with the center fielder, being that he is a center fielder. He said, well, I can only draw from my experience in Anaheim playing with Torrey Hunter. And you know, the biggest thing for me is I have to stop the desire to take charge because I'm no longer the center fielder. And then it comes down to really knowing your space. He said, with Torrey and I, after we played a few times, we kind of got used to how much ground each other could cover. He said, so although Angel and I did play together a couple times in the spring, it'll be interesting, guys, to see those balls that are in between. So we'll watch that today.
And that's an excellent point because, you know, center fielder's trained to get whatever he can. Reed Johnson hits it to dead center, chasing Pagan back. It's turned around and he can't get to it. Johnson has an extra base hit. He's around second. He's going to try for 3. Castillo's relay throw. Safe. A 3-base hit for Reed Johnson.
Well, that's just beautiful hustle right there by Reed. Misjudged by Pagan. Normally Pagan, tremendous outfielder defensively. Look at the hustle right out of the get-go, and that's why he got 3. Never look at his coach, kids. That plays in front of you. Make your own decision. Nicely done.
Well, we knew this 2-3 years ago. I think all of us commented that the Mets were looking for an extra outfielder. We said, boy, Reed Johnson is a nice mix.
Well, Reed likes to see how he stays. Look at that. We always talk about the level swing on the high pitch. Look at his shoulders. That's what makes his bat stay level.
Nice IOTV pitch differential there. Not so nice for Santana. His 1-0 lead is in jeopardy with Andre Ethier up, and he waves at that slider for strike 1. Ethier grounded out to first base his first time up. Now on that first pitch, the Mets have the right side of the infield back, and Reyes playing about halfway, and there he is again.
Jerry's been doing that a lot early.
Even with the lead in the third inning, it's a little surprising. Ethier, 5 home runs, 16 driven in, 8 for 18 with runners in scoring position. One of the better marks in the league. And gets tied up inside with that fastball, and it's 1-2.
Well, now you got to choke up, and you've got to get the ball in play. It's a tough pitch to lay off. He did swing. If you're in a hole now off a very good pitcher, you really got to go into your Roger Ramjet mode. You got to dig a trench, and your back's against the wall here.
Now the right side's going to move in as well, with 2 strikes on Ethier. And he punches one foul to stay in there.
You know, the thing about Ethier, he's only struck out 5 times this year, so he's the kind of guy that's going to put the ball in play. I know they like to play Castillo back. Now he's moved in. Reyes has such a great arm that you can almost afford to play him 1 or 2 steps back. That way you ensure that anything up the middle he's going to make a play. If he comes in on anything, still can gun out Johnson.
1-2. And he lays off the slider. 2-2.
A handsome kid.
Walk-off home runs. Good-looking guy. Los Angeles Dodgers.
Is he single in L.A.? That's trouble.
Or not.
Matt Kemp, his 100 RBI running mate, is on deck. 2-2.
Good eye. Talking to their hitting coach Jeff Penland and Mattingly, they say this young man is one of the few guys in today's game that they like the way he shortens up the 2 strikes. Just tries to really put the ball in play. Does not like to strike out.
Already Santana's 4th full count of the game. And it's ripped to first, and Davis grabs it for the second out. As Johnson stays at third.
What an bat by Ethier there, and just a big hang with him.
And just purely reaction, playing right where he should be.
Interesting with Castillo almost up to the edge of the grass. Davis playing a little further back, which probably helped him out there.
You know, Ike Davis, that ball coming at him made it look easy coming out of the shadows. I'd like to see the average fan, if they could ever stand there and take a look at how quickly that ball gets on you.
Nothing worse than white shirts on a sunny day.
Yeah.
So now the infield can drop back with 2 out, and Kemp takes a changeup for a strike. Kemp flied one deep to center field his first time up. So Santana, who worked out of a bases loaded jam in the second, gives up a 1-out triple in the third and trying to work through that with a 1-0 lead. And Kemp grounds one down for David Wright. And he throws him out, and Santana escapes trouble for a second straight inning. 1-0 New York. For the latest baseball news, special features, scouting reports, and exclusive interviews on the Baseball Show presented by Harrah's every afternoon only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
Well, if you're a fielder here and you know the numbers before the game, you know Angel Pagan's struggling a little bit, so third baseman Blake's got to anticipate a bunt.
Pagan grounded out to Blake his first time up. And Angel takes ball 1 high from Kuroda.
In at both corners.
Blake, really solid fielder. Gold glover in Japan was Kuroda. James Loney as good as any at first base.
Pagan 1 for his last 20, drops down a bunt, but it trickles foul. Good call, Ronnie.
I still can't do anything. I can't pitch, can't play, can't run, can't do anything. But I still know when to anticipate this kind of hitters. When they go through a stretch where they're struggling, guy with speed like Pagan, they try to steal one on you.
Yep. While we have a moment, I want to pass along our best wishes to our good friend Bob Uecker.
Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster who's going to be undergoing heart surgery on Friday. And Uke is one of the all-time greats, and our hearts are with him.
I got to spend the day with Uke yesterday, and there's no better gentleman, representation, ambassador for the game of baseball.
And there's Bob Seach.
Bob will keep it warm for you.
His call, get up, get out of here for the home run call.
It's big in Milwaukee. They have it up on the scoreboard. Pagan grounds one around at the second baseman, Carroll. And that's the first out of the inning. So Pagan continues to struggle. One out in the third, and Luis Castillo will step in. Castillo grounded out to second base his first time up. You realize this is an historic event that we're witnessing today. The first single admission doubleheader in Citi Field history.
Wow.
Last time the Mets played 2 games without a break. It was at Shea Stadium in September of '08 against the Braves. For the Dodgers, last night was the first time they had been rained out of a game since 2007. Of course, they never get rained out at home.
Yeah, that's true.
Their last rainout was in Colorado in '07. Their last doubleheader, their last single admission doubleheader, it was in '06 in Philadelphia.
Do they even have a tarp in Los Angeles?
Yeah, but it has rust on it.
Oh, okay.
3-0 now to Castillo with Jose Reyes on deck. Now it's turned into a beautiful day in that it is sunny, but it's chilly, temperature mid-50s, and windy. And we've already seen consequences for the outfielders. Castillo taking all the way, 3-1.
Well, you always hear the song here, but I wonder if the Ramones ever knew that Blitzkrieg Bop will play here until the end of time.
3-2. Well, the song has outlived most of the band.
That's right. The Queens guys, weren't they?
Yes, they were. 3-2 to Castillo. To shallow center field and having trouble with it, Kemp, but now coming on to grab it. 2 out. I lost a lot of my hearing at Ramones concerts.
I saw them a couple times at CBGB, and it was quite an experience.
Oh, God, CBG.
Yeah.
They used to put the hard rock all the time.
Yep.
Yep.
I remember the Bottom Line. These, they're all gone now.
Here's Reyes again batting with nobody on. Popped up to short his first time up. And as usual, the corners will stay in against Jose. Lifted down the left field side. Johnson is there and makes the grab in fair territory, and the Mets are down 1-2-3. 3 in the books in game 1 of our doubleheader. 1-0 New York. Mets 5-game summer premium pick-a-packs include a premium location ticket to a Subway Series game at Citi Field, plus 1 game each in June, July, August, and September. Get your summer premium pick-a-pack at Mets.com. Casey Blake leads off the 4th inning. Blake drew a walk his first time up. Well, Santana has walked 3 today, but none of them came leading off an inning. He hasn't walked anybody leading off an inning since last July.
That's an unbelievable stat. I mean, you're going to have a bad first hitter sometime, aren't you? Not this guy.
One-two to Blake. Changeup fouled off. 124 wins, 61 losses. And really, when you go back to last season and think about the kind of pain that he was pitching in for a good portion of the season and the restrictions he was working with the bone chips in his elbow, it's phenomenal. He was able to keep it going as long as he did. Goes up the ladder to strike out Blake. 4th of the afternoon for Santana. 1 down in the 4th. Over the last 7 years, nobody has dominated the game from the mound the way Santana has.
Well, he talked about his elbow last year. 2008, he pitched a 2-hit shutout on the last Saturday in 1 leg. He's just a warrior.
You almost wish you could put him out in the field and play him every day, because he's the kind of guy who would be able to handle that. Here's Loney, hit into a fielder's choice his first time up and stole a base, and it takes a strike. Well, the Mets, when the season began, were counting on Johan being Johan and just crossing their fingers about the rest of the rotation. He's done his thing, and everybody else has so far outperformed expectations. And that's why the Mets as a team are 3rd in the National League in staff ERA. But he gives you a leg up. Down slowly. Santana will cover. 2 out.
Well, Gary, as you go along in this big ballpark, you know, that is going to have to be a premium for the organization. Just produce some pitchers that'll throw strikes, because this big ballpark is just so prone to, it's so pitcher friendly.
Well, I mean, the Mets have shown it recently. If you can get a couple of guys on base, steal a base, force a mistake, scratch out a run or two, sometimes that's enough to win you a game. So if you can stop giving free passes, it certainly gives you an advantage.
Well, I was just thinking that with the Mets run on the wild pitch, is this going to be enough for the Mets to win this ball game? The way they've been going lately, that might be enough.
Russell Martin walked his first time, and Santana ahead of him 0-2.
Well, 2 straight fastballs to Mr. Martin, and he took them both. That means he was, to me, he was looking for the changeup.
0-2 to Martin. And the changeup misses 1-2.
LA is just coming off a 1-0 loss to Washington, Scott Olsen, so they're like, been there, done that. Little high pitch count for Santana, most of that in that second inning, sorry.
At 36 pitches in the second inning when he walked 3. 1-2 to Martin, hit hard toward the hole on a base hit. So there's a case where Wright playing the line might have cost Santana a hit. And Martin has a 2-out single.
Nice at bat for Russell.
That was a bullet, by the way.
So a 2-out base runner and Jamie Carroll the batter. Carroll drew a walk his first time up, making his 5th start this season.
This may sound funny for you people at home, but for a starting pitcher, this at bat right here, to me, one of the most important bats you have in the entire game. It's 2 outs. You have the 8th place hitter up. You can somehow get through Carroll You start out with the pitcher next inning, which should be you start the inning with an automatic out.
Well, if you're the Dodgers, you have to feel as though you've had a couple of chances in this game. You loaded the bases in the second, got a runner to third with one out in the third, and Santana's been able to wriggle out of trouble. Now he's thrown 8 straight first pitch strikes and is starting to find his rhythm. Carroll hits one down the right field line, slicing away and foul.
Well, in that game that they lost to Washington, the Dodgers had the bases loaded in the first inning and did not score with no outs. So they have been struggling to produce when they should.
I guess the question is it a tangible of losing Manny Ramirez that can take a high-powered offense and tone it down, or is it more the intangible of kind of looking over your shoulder and looking for that guy who's not there?
You mentioned last year how they handled Manny's absence wonderfully. It just goes to show each season unfolds differently.
Remember, Juan Pierre took his place and played probably the best baseball of his career for that short period of time.
Now on the south side of Chicago. Up and away with the changeup, and it's 2-2 to Carroll.
See that, talking about the south side of Chicago, Andrew Jones has found his game, hasn't he? So we look at the numbers of career with the Dodgers.
And Carroll hits another one foul down the right side. A reward for the early arriving crowd. 2 for the price of 1 today. Jamie Carroll has spent the last 2 years in Cleveland after beginning his career with the Expos and then the Nats and then with Colorado. And he punches one into shallow center that'll fall for a hit. Stopping at second is Martin, so back-to-back 2-out hits for the Dodgers, and that will clear the pitcher spot.
Well, good at bat for Carroll. Carroll was going the opposite field all the way. Look at him, choked up 2 inches. That's a double choke, and he's just looking the inside out and try to put it in play. He knows his limitations. He's not a power hitter, little guy. I'm not being disparaging of him there. It's just he's a slight build and he's a line drive hitter.
Well, he knows his own game. He's 36 years old, and he's had a far longer career than anybody would have suspected when he first came up. So now Kuroda, who struck out with the bases loaded to end the second, now up with 2 out and 2 on in the fourth.
Well, this is why it's difficult to pitch in the big leagues. You can hit your spot, as we see in the ILTV pitch differential. That's off maybe, what, an inch or 2 inches? And it can still cost you a base hit.
Slowly hit. Santana back to field it. It does feel like an infielder, doesn't it? Gets himself out of yet another jam. That's 3 innings in a row. Santana's had to emerge from trouble. Jason Bay set the lead off the bottom of the fourth. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning in the first game of our doubleheader, necessitated by last night's rain out. Mets have a 1-0 lead. The only run scoring on a wild pitch in the 2nd inning. Game has a bit of a deja vu feel to it. Seems like every game we've seen on this homestand has been scoreless or 1-0 through the first 4 or 5 innings. And then third time around the batting order, Mets find a way to score a couple of runs and get great pitching.
Well, I will tell you this. They're going to have to change that up because I doubt if it's going to be scoreless in Philadelphia on the weekend.
That's probably a good point.
Especially in that part.
Yep.
Jonathan Neese is going to pitch Friday night. Mike Pelfrey on Saturday afternoon. And then Johan Santana is going to get the start on Sunday night now with a bit of a reconfigured rotation because of the rain out. Jason Bay leads off. Originally, Santana was not going to be pitching in that series in Philadelphia, but now he is. Bay grounded out to third his first time up. And again, Blake is playing the line against him.
Cracks this one to deep left center field. Kemp back for a look. That ball is out of here. Jason Bay with his first home run as a New York Met. It took him into the 4th week of the season, but Bay has been unleashed. His first Mets home run has given the Mets a 2-0 lead.
Only the second hit for the Mets. And I bet you this was a high fastball.
Well, we've seen the signs leading up to it over the last few days. Bay's bat's starting to come around, and now he finally breaks the ice with his first home run.
Well, wants it down and away. Oh boy, upstairs, belt high, down the pipe. And anything belt high and up, that's Bay's happy area.
It came in his 69th at bat of the season.
Well, Jason won't admit it.
Oh, goodness.
I couldn't do any better.
Well, you see the ILTV pitch differential here, Keith.
Well, you see the ball runs back over the middle. Never really got in the outside corner at all. And right down the pipe.
Just off the plate to David Wright, 2-2. David walked and scored the Mets' first run in the 2nd inning. Well, the Mets have now hit 14 home runs this year. This is their 20th game. Vercal on the back end has that strong arm and throws out right one away.
Well, Jason Bay might not admit it to us, but at some point on his car ride home after these 2 games, it's going to be finally.
Well, I think more than anything else, he's probably tired of hearing it.
Yeah, that's exactly. We're part of the problem, not the solution.
We usually are. Here's Ike Davis, who hit an opposite field double his first time up. And takes the breaking ball for a strike from Kuroda.
Well, Davis off to a very nice start. The Mets, what, 6-1 since he was called up?
Coincidence or not?
Is Reyes hitting third a coincidence or not? That team, the Mets are last in the National League in offense. Offensive batting average. They haven't scored a lot of runs. It's really been on the defense. I mean the pitching. Excuse me. The starting pitching has been outstanding.
If I had to look at 3 things: Reyes back, Davis called up, Pelfrey taking it to the next level. Those are the 3 things.
And the other piece is Davis goes down looking for the second out. I mean, you have to say this. The Cubs and Braves both played horribly in the 2 series that preceded this one.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Keith and I were talking about this before, and you and I have talked about it, Gary. There's some elite teams. Philadelphia's an elite team. St. Louis is an elite team, barring any kind of injuries for those guys. Colorado, I think, has a chance to be an elite team. Everyone else is in this major scrum, and it's the team that comes together and plays past their weaknesses, because they all have them, is going to be the team that's going to have a shot.
It's funny how it works. I mean, you know, the Cubs lost 3 out of 4 here and then went to Milwaukee, and they dominated the Brewers over the weekend.
And that's after the Brewers had defeated the Cubs 3 straight times. The last game 20-0.
1-1 to Matthews.
All of a sudden, Kuroda here is found his little backdoor curveball slider on left-hand hitters. Got Davis on one and gets a strike there in the outside corner to Matthews.
Gary hits a comebacker, but it goes off his glove. Kuroda with time to recover, and the side retired. But the Mets add on a run as Jason Bay breaks his maiden first home run as a New York Met. And with that, the Mets have a 2-0 lead after 4. Here's today's Toyota text poll. Our question: which schedule do you prefer, balanced or unbalanced? Text your response to 57508 or visit sny.tv to participate.
Well, one of the things I miss is the fact that the Dodgers, the Giants, the Cardinals, Cubs, you name it, they don't come in twice. They come in once, and I just think that's wrong.
Rafael Furcal leading off the 5th inning with Santana up 2-0. Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's not, to me, the unbalanced schedule per se, because the schedule was always unbalanced. Back in the day, you played, when it was 2 divisions, you played 18 games against the teams in your own division and 12 against the other. It's interleague play that's changed the mix.
Right.
You know, for my money, keep interleague play that, you know, is between the 2 rivals, Mets and Yankees, and get rid of the rest of it and add games against the Dodgers and the Cubs and the Cardinals and all that. Those are far more interesting, I think, to Met fans than games against the Twins or the Tigers or the Indians.
Exactly. You know, just make it one series, home and away, against your rival. If there's no rival, well, you know, find one.
Yeah, everybody can have one rival. Lined in a right center and a base hit for Furcal. Pagano over very quickly to cut that off and hold Furcal to a single. The 4th Dodger hit, and the first time they've had the leadoff man on against Santana.
Furcal, as we said earlier, 8 stolen bases, only caught once. Here's that scrappy little hard-nosed player, Reed Johnson.
Johnson tripled beyond the reach of Angel Pagan in center field. His 13th hit in 24 career at-bats against Santana. More than anything, the reason why he's in the lineup today. Dodgers are mixing and matching in left field. They've got Garrett Anderson as a backup player this year, left-hand hitter, veteran. There's a strike. They've also got Xavier Paul, a young right-hand batting outfielder who was called up when Ramirez went on the DL. And Santana's been doing better and better at getting first pitch strikes as this game has gone along. But he's thrown a lot of pitches in this game. He's up to 91 now with nobody out in the 5th. Furcal's been stealing bases this year. He's 8 out of 9. 0-2 now to Johnson. By the way, we have sent Ronnie on a mission.
Sent him downstairs?
He's going to go join Kevin down in the well next to the dugout. I believe he just arrived down there, so we'll be plugging him in and getting his thoughts from a lower angle in a few moments. Two to Johnson, and Santana checks in on Furcal. I hope you're not disappointed that you didn't get to make the trip down there.
I believe I got it. There he is. I got to go down there for the night game, and it's going to be freezing.
Oh, do you have your coat?
I didn't wear my flannel inner lining pants tonight. Sorry, very stupid.
Johnson. Might be a little too much information. I thought you'd bring the fur coat today.
Nah, didn't feel like lugging it.
Andre Ethier on deck. Santana coming up and in on a guy who's been his nemesis. See what he does here with Furcal taking a healthy lead. Furcal 2 years ago had back surgery, and last year was in some ways a rehab year for him. Wasn't moving quite as well, was a little more cautious, but he's back to being the freewheeling player that we remember him to be back in his heyday with the Braves. He can be a difference maker at the top of that Dodger order. Snap throw by Santana. See, last year Furcal's numbers were off, and he stole only 12 bases last year. He already has 8 this year. One and two to Johnson, and the changeup struck him out. All after coming up and in on the previous pitch. Santana takes care of Reed Johnson. That's his 5th strikeout.
Santana, who's been getting the strikeout upstairs, and Gary, you rightfully very nicely said on your part, very studious, very perceptive, went downstairs for the strikeout.
But that was a slider, and he's throwing more of those against the right-hand batters now.
Yep.
Here's Ethier with 1 out and 1 on. Ethier came up with a runner at third and 1 out in the 3rd inning, had a terrific at bat, and hit a bolt right at Ike Davis, who snared it to keep the runner at third. It's been the hairiest moment for Santana so far this afternoon. And Ethier, it's a shot right at Castillo, but he can't get the handle, and they'll have to settle for 1. A sure double play if Castillo handles that ball cleanly, but it came up and hit him in the chest. And they settle for the 4th for the 2nd out.
This is why you stay in front of the ball. This ball really came up. It was a bullet. Bad hop for Luis.
So right in front of that ball, and not much he can do. Make sure of the 1, get the lead out. What a done. Slide hard into second base. They make things a little hot for Jose so far tonight.
So Casey Blake with a hard slide in the 2nd inning. That forced Reyes to take evasive action. So now the inning prolonged. Matt Kemp with 2 out and a runner at first. Tying run at the plate. Tied for the league lead in home runs with 7. And he takes a strike. Kemp is fly deep to center and grounded out to third. And on a day when you need your starters to go deep with a doubleheader today and a day game tomorrow, it may be hard for Santana to go all that deep with that kind of pitch count in the 5th inning. Good fastball, and it's 0-2. And really, that's been the one sticking point for this Mets starting staff. They've been fantastic. They just haven't been able to go that deep into games. So the Met bullpen has been very heavily taxed.
A lot of credit right there to that man, Mr. Warthen. And there's the new configuration in that bullpen. And no one's up, and rightly so.
Well, you hope to get at least 6 out of Santana today.
I would love 7. But they're going to bring him into Philadelphia for the wrap up of that series. They got him on a short leach.
Yeah, at 98 pitches in the 5th, I think be happy with 6 right now. Ahead on Kemp 0-2 with Ethier at first and 2 out. Goes away with the fastball. It's 1-2.
I think he's going to go inside to get Kemp. Kemp very defensive against Santana. Overly protecting for that changeup, I think. Doesn't feel comfortable. Looks like he's not comfortable off Mr. Santana. A lot of people aren't. That's going to be a shame. There comes that slider in the dirt again.
This will be the 100th pitch of the afternoon for Johan. Lifted to left center field. Pagan edging back. And the side retired. 5 scoreless for Santana. 2-0 New York. Let's check out our AT&T trivia question for today. Who are the 3 Canadian-born players to start in an All-Star game since 1950? Tell you what,
Is Kemp Canadian? No.
No.
Well, Bay's got to be one, right? Did he ever start?
I believe he might have. Rod Barajas leads off the home 5th inning against Hiroki Kuroda. Barajas came up with the bases loaded in the 2nd inning, and while he was at the plate, Martin failed to knock down a wild pitch that gave the Mets their first run. Barajas subsequently struck out. Popped up behind the plate. And Russell Martin back to the screen to make the grab. The wind just grabbed that ball and blew it back toward the screen. And with just 45 feet from the plate to the backstop, Martin just had enough room. So 1 away. And as Johan Santana comes up, I see Ronnie has made his way down near the dugout. He's sitting next to Kevin, who's got his warm jacket on. You warm enough down there, Ronnie?
Yeah, but I will tell you that it is unusually cold out here. When I was walking down, really windy, really cold, and it's definitely affecting the players. And that right there, that pop-up by Barajas, probably why he was so angry. That ball was at least 10 rows in the stands. Wind blew it right back into play.
Greg, you there in the truck? My producer. Did you hear what Ronnie said? He said it's really cold, and you're going to have me go down there the second game at night, and it's going to be really cold. Can I pass? Can we do it another night?
Maybe it'll get warmer between now and then. As Santana rips one over the glove of Loney, and he's got a base hit. Comes hard around first and then holds up as Ethier gets it in. And Santana has his 2nd hit of the year.
Well, only the third hit for the Mets, and we always like the way Santana swings the bat. Beautiful swing right there. He's the whole package. He is really quite an athlete.
He's fielded his position well today, thrown 5 scoreless innings despite all sorts of trouble, and now has a hit to boot. Here's Angel Pagan, twice as grounded out. Tough man to double up. Well, Ronnie, in wake of the fact that you were talking about how chilly it is out there for the players, it's worth noting that Santana's out there in short sleeves with no jacket.
It's very funny. The entire bench asked him to bring out the jacket. He waved to the bat boy. He said, "I don't need any jacket. Go back in there. I'm fine. Ready to score a run." He's like an everyday player.
And I'm not, because I need a jacket.
Are you cold, Kev?
I'm okay right now, but I have the heavy artillery for when you come down and join me, Keith.
Well,
Bring the hot chocolate, buddy.
Have you got the heavy jacket with you?
I do.
I'm going to rip it off your back.
We'll have to get him a lambskin or something. Good off-speed pitch by Garota, 1-2.
You know, one thing, guys, that I will say that I've never known since I sat down here, I asked Kevin, he agreed. The comments from the fans, you can hear almost everything in their immediate reaction to Santana when he was coming off the field. You literally feel like they're in the dugout with you. That's how intimate it is.
Probably the toughest person to be down here is that guy right there, Jimmy the ball boy, because, I mean, I'm talking 45 times a game. Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. He deals with it rather well.
Oh, and Pagan badly fooled on that fastball away, and he is down swinging. So Pagan just a little messed up at the plate right now.
Well, Pagan's in a slump. That's all there is to it. See the fanny fly out, and that's usually what happens when you're slumping. And it just takes time. He's going to play.
Hey, Keith, let me ask you, you know, you watch Pagan walking back here, his head down a little bit. We always, everyone talking about Reyes in the third slot. Don't you think there was some pressure put on Pagan once he went from the 8th slot up to the 1st slot? A lot of pressure for him to produce?
Well, I think because of all the fanfare of Jose going in the 3rd spot and then him becoming a critical, now, okay, I'm in a critical position leading off. I'm taking over for Jose. He's hit in the leadoff spot before and has thrived in every spot that Jerry's put him in. Whether it's bothering him or not, I don't know. But I think collectively this team hasn't been hitting, and it's always better when you're winning because you can forget about it a lot easier. If your club's going bad and you're not hitting, it's always a lot worse. But as we know, the Mets are having a fantastic homestand, and that always is a great cure for all ills.
Hey guys, you guys are sitting down there next to the dugout, and you can see what goes on. You know, Angel comes back from that at bat, and his first reaction is to go down the tunnel. Now, I'm assuming he's going back to look at his at bat on video. Is that right?
Oh, with 2 outs would be tough.
Castillo out to center field, and Kemp reels it in to end the inning. Talk more about that when we come back. We played 5 in the opener here at Citi Field, 2-0 Mets. giving up 4 hits and 3 walks, 100 pitches through 5, but still no runs for the Dodgers. Mets getting a run on a wild pitch in the second, and Jason Bay's first home run as a Met in the 4th. And so the Mets have a 2-0 lead as we start the 6th, and Casey Blake will lead things off. Blake has walked and struck out this afternoon, 0 for 1. So we'll see how far Jerry Manuel and Dan Warrington want to push Santana today. There is nobody up in the Mets bullpen as we start the 6th inning. And Santana behind 2-0. Johan put himself in jeopardy in the 2nd inning by walking 3. Got through that. Gave up a 1-out triple to Johnson in the 3rd, but got out of that jam. And then gave up a couple of 2-out hits in the 4th, but survived that inning as well. And so there you see the pitch count. Not ideal. 2-1 to Blake.
Okay.
And there's a strike, 2-2. James Loney and Russell Martin to follow for the Dodgers here in the 6th. Check swing, foul ball. You guys okay down there?
Yeah, we're fine. But it's pretty funny you said that. I asked Kevin as soon as I got down here, guys. I said, Kevin, you can get waffled over here with a foul ball. He said he's had a few already.
People have always said when they sit here, we need the nets here. We want to see clear. And then you get a foul ball and you see why they're here. Gary, you asked about the video before. It's Blake with a hefty cut and foul tip caught by Barajas. He's down on strikes. Just to answer your question, you asked about the video before and Pagan struck out. My guess is he went to take a couple hacks for the Indiana, because right inside the dugout, they walk down that tunnel, and literally you go up the stairs, and the batting cage is right there. So I would not be shocked. A lot of the players do it, especially after a bat they weren't pleased with. Go down, take a couple quick hacks, real quick, just to feel a little bit better. Take a good swing or two before they go out in the field.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to go down there and drop around 3 or 4 expletives.
You can do that too.
I used to take the bat to the porcelain too, Keith, I remember.
Did you guys have a special room for the expletives?
No, it was just to get down and out of sight, and the fans couldn't hear, and you can just drop a few bombs.
James Loney is 0 for 2.
What I don't hear a lot now, guys, that's different than in my day or Keith's day, our day, was that the benches would be screaming when there's a pitch close or a close call at first base or whatever. And very quiet, very businesslike are the coaches here. And in fact, they spent a lot of time talking, Dan Warrington and Jerry Manuel, in between innings. And I'm sure it was what you guys are talking about, and that is pitch count, cold weather, Philadelphia on Sunday, and how far to push Santana.
And you just saw Fernando Nieve up in the bullpen. First action of the day behind Santana. 2-1 to Loney. And the fastball for a strike. Santana not getting a whole lot of velocity. He's mostly 87 and 88 with that fastball today, but able to spot it.
Well, he's been painting, and I like the idea that Jerry started Santana in the first game. You've got a red-hot ball club, having a very hot homestand, a much-needed homestand. And win that first game doubleheader. You always want to win that first one. So run your ace out there. Keep the momentum going with your ace. You win the first game. This game's far from over. But you like having your ace out there. And then you carry it over to the second game. And the momentum is still in your favor. And your team is up looking for a sweep.
Wind rustling the uniform of Santana. 2-2 to Loney. And he lines one to right. In comes Matthews to make the grab. 2 outs. So Santana retires the first 2 in the 6th. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Thanks, Chris. Here's Russell Martin with 2 out and nobody on.
Big cut by Martin.
I will tell you from this angle, Keith, I'm sure you can see it up there, some vicious cuts by these Dodger hitters. And in fact, in some ways, Santana's gotten away with a couple of pitches with line drives. But you know what? That's better than walks. But yeah, some hellacious acts here by the Dodgers.
Another big cut by Martin. 114 pitches now. That's a season high for Johan. He threw 113 in St. Louis in the 20-inning game.
He sped up his bat twice. Let's see if he pulls the chain here. A little changeup.
Popped up. Reyes playing it in the wind as it blows back toward the mound. And he corrals it with 2 hands just to make sure. So Santana's work for the day probably done. Jason Bay's work continues. After his first Mets home run in his last at bat, he'll come up to have a turn for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th. Well, it could have been said of Mike Pelfrey on Sunday night, and you can certainly say it of Johan Santana today. The measure of a good pitcher is how he performs on a day when he's not at the top of his game, and that was certainly the case with Santana today. 6 scoreless innings, despite not a whole lot of velocity and not a whole lot of sharpness, but he has himself a 2-0 lead as he exits.
Well, I think the only thing he lacked tonight, Gary, was the velocity on his fastball. He was throwing in the high 80s, not in the 90s or low 90s. Everything else, I thought he had a good slider. I thought he had a good changeup. I thought he spotted his pitches wonderfully, and that's what he needed to do.
Reyes leads off in the home 6th against Kuroda, and he rips a base hit into right field. So Jose Reyes making like a leadoff hitter, and that number 3 hole gets the Mets started with a leadoff hit in the 6th.
Well, this is usually how it happens with Jose. In this 3rd hole, in the middle of the game, he inevitably leads off and gets things started.
And now the suddenly hot Jason Bay. Homered into the seats at left center his last time up. His first as a Met. Now 6 for 11 over the last 4 games. So now the question becomes, as Bay heats up, do you put a rein on Reyes at all,
No.
getting ahead of him?
Let him go. Let him go. That's part of the game. Take advantage of your speed in this lineup. They want to pitch around Jason Bay, be my guess. You got Wright and Davis coming behind.
Kuroda does not generally hold runners well, and Martin has not been throwing well from behind the plate. Nothing in 1 to Bay.
Well, the one thing from this angle, guys, is watching Kuroda is that he knows Reyes is there. He's giving him tons and tons of looks. We talked about how he's an MVP, can field his position. He's got a decent move, but he's slow to the plate. I think the last, maybe 19 out of 21 have been successful. Sounds like the time for me for Reyes to be aggressive, even with Bay coming off that last at-bat home run.
No argument from me, RJ.
We'll say with 4 stolen bases, and it's been a whole lot friskier over the last few days. Stolen base produced the only run Sunday.
Bay grounds one to third. Blake grabs the hop, gets the out at second. The relay in time for the double play. Close play at first base. But the rookie umpire, Dan Bellino, said they turned it. And Jerry Manuel's going to come out for an argument.
You could see Jerry was going to go out. He saw that from the same angle we saw it. He looked safe from our angle. The throw really never got there. And Jerry's out there to discuss it.
He's looking at a replay right now. And safe. He was definitely safe.
That's the classic bang-bang play right there to see Jerry walking off. It wasn't a ejectionable offense here on the call. Is that a word, ejectionable?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. It's a good time right there to cheat if you're a first baseman. Come off the bag and cheat. The guy's going to beat it. Ron Fairley taught me how to cheat.
I mean, the Seinfeldian way to say it would be ejection worthy.
Okay. Oh, I should know that.
David Wright has walked and grounded out today. And Kuroda falls behind him 2-0.
Big double play for Kuroda. He's impressed me tonight with his stuff. He's basically fastball slider pitcher. He's comes after you. I like him.
Broken back towards short base hit. And David Wright has his first hit of the day. Takes the turn as Kemp charges. And a 2-out hit for David Wright. Just muscled it past for a call.
Wanted it away and got it on the other half of the plate and in. It's off the plate in.
We've seen that twice, huh, Keith? When he makes a mistake, Kuroda, the bad part of the plate for him is down and away to right-handers. Same with the pitch to Bay. That ball wants to sneak back over the middle to right-handed hitters.
Here's Ike Davis, an opposite field double back in the second. Took a call third strike in the fourth, 1 for 2.
Light runs, pitch up and away. Mize throwing a hop, not in time. Stolen base number 7 for David Wright.
Well, David wasting no time. Martin having all kinds of trouble throwing this year. He's made 4 errors behind the plate in this young season. We're not even out of the first month. Nice angle. Look at that. Sweet.
Hey guys, Kevin and I are witnessing something as David Wright has a little costume change, right, Kevin?
Wardrobe malfunction. Yeah, the belt. Something happened with the belt on that slide, so he's taking that off.
Oh, he broke the belt.
Yeah.
That's those core exercises.
Intentional walk now to Ike Davis.
How about that, a rookie?
Well, they intentionally walk Gary Matthews, who is next, and there's the belt arriving with a fan above the dugout. They intentionally walk Matthews in the second inning. Now they're intentionally walking Davis with 2 out to get to Matthews.
Boy, has the game changed. I mean, there was the day that you never walked a rookie.
Here's your IOTV pitch differential.
Well, you see Ron where it misses. I don't know if Ron's got a monitor. You can see where he wanted it away, and it came back inside off the plate in.
By the way, Steve Lyons is in the building today.
Yeah, that's right. David did not pull Steve Lyons. He kept those drawers up. Good.
So here is Gary Matthews Jr., who's drawn an intentional walk and hit a comebacker 0 for 1. 2 out and 2 on. Matthews just 1 for 12 this year with runners in scoring position. And takes the changeup low and away.
Well, I don't think I've seen a move like that in a long time, to walk the talented rookie Davis in that situation, to pitch to a guy who's been in the big leagues forever.
There's Steve Lyons on the left, famous for lowering his baseball pants on the field. 1-1 to Matthews.
He was one of the kind of class clowns for those White Sox teams, much like Dempsey.
Rick Dempsey, the catcher for the Orioles back in the 80s.
Fernando Nieve getting ready to pitch the 7th inning. Well, there's a reason they called him Psycho.
Yes.
I think they still do. One to Matthews. Now tipped. 1-2. Kuroda still throwing hard. That last fastball at 93.
Very interesting, guys, here. Every pitch that Matthews swings at, you'll have a reaction from Howard Johnson, Dave Giles, looking at each other, talking about the swing that Matthews has right now, trying to analyze it as the at-bat goes along.
Ooh, just missed right there. Kuroda thought he had it.
Of course, Dave Giles is the bench coach, formerly bench coach with the Dodgers when Grady Little was the manager there. 85 pitches now for Kuroda. Two-two. Hit that for a call, strike 3. Got him looking at the breaking ball. So the strategy of walking like Davis works for Joe Torre. Kuroda's 4th strikeout keeps the Mets off the board. We asked who were the 3 Canadian-born players to start in All-Star games since 1950. I was going to guess Ferguson Jenkins.
Yes. No.
No. Russell Martin, Jason Bay, and of course Larry Walker, probably the greatest player ever produced from Canada. Jeff Francoeur comes in to play right field in a double switch. He'll bat 9th, and the new pitcher Fernando Nieve will hit 7th as Gary Matthews comes out of the game.
Well, we talked about Fernando getting a lot of work. He hasn't pitched since the 24th, so this is his 3rd day, so he's in good shape. His last 2 outings, he only didn't record a out, gave up a hit, and then he gave up in 1/3 inning work on the 24th, only 1 hit. So he's had his rest. He's ready. He's good to go.
13th outing. That's 1 more than the Dodgers' Ramon Trancoso, with whom he was tied when the day began for the league lead appearances. Jamie Carroll takes a first pitch strike.
You know, it's interesting, guys. I was watching Fernando Nieve warm up. 2 fastballs, about 3/4 speed, spun up a couple of curveballs, couple easy changeups, and his last 2 pitches that give you 8 were maximum out 95 miles an hour. So everyone gets warm a little differently. Nieve, of course, with those 8 pitches, those last 2 at the max.
You know what? Oh, sorry about that, guys. I was going to say, I was talking to Fernando, and he's a guy that obviously has never had this type of workload out of the bullpen. I asked him at any level. He said, no. And a couple things. First of all, the warm-up in the pen before what we saw on the mound, Ronnie, he said that two things. He actually will warm up and kind of pitch the batter that he's going to face. He'll look at what the lineup looks like and try to pitch those batters. Number two is he says he has a hard time getting the fastball going. Remember Bobby Parnelli found a way to get it up and come in and throw 96 out of the gate. Fernando says he really can't do that. He says the games that he stayed in the second inning, he throws a lot harder. And so the first inning, a lot more breaking balls. He tries to paint a little bit more until that fastball kind of gets up to speed.
Being a starting pitcher, the first inning is his problem.
Yeah, exactly. So he's getting used to that. And he said the most that he had ever worked like this was Winter Bowl 2 years ago. He had one outing where he had 3 straight games. But the irony is that he said that the more he pitches, the better he feels. The 2 times he gave up runs were off of off days. When he had pitched to start the season, the 4 straight games, he said he actually felt great. He said every time I've been in a back-to-back, I felt great. He said the off days, it's almost like get the motor going again. That's been the thing that's given him a problem, and those are the 2 times he's given up runs.
Ronnie, I know you only have limited experience working out of the bullpen, but do you think guys who pitch more throw fewer pitches to get ready on a regular basis just to try and save bullets?
Well, I think that is definitely the case. I think also when I can only say about myself, when I first went in the bullpen after 300 starts, and not willingly, by the way, Gary, you were there, and but I will say that it did not take me long to get loose, because the adrenaline you feel when you're going to go out there and pitch a relief and the game's on the line and you've got to get these guys out for your team. I don't know if you could ever make that a pill, then we'd really have something, because it wouldn't take too long.
3-2 to Carroll, and he walked him, so Nieve comes in and walks the first man to face him. And now Garrett Anderson's going to come up to pinch hit, representing the tying run. So Anderson, the veteran who was with the Braves last year, his first year in the National League after spending his entire career in Anaheim.
And you know what's interesting, guys, is that on the bench right now, they've been telling Nieve, giving the signal he will swing. Anderson, when he is a starting player, one of the more patient hitters you'll ever see. Coming off the bench, got to be careful with that first pitch fastball.
Over 2,500 hits in his career, and he takes a first pitch fastball for a strike.
And it wasn't just pitching coach Dan Worthen. It was 3 or 4 of the coaches and players on the bench that were signaling to be ready just in case. But Anderson, true to form as he is as a starter, taking that first pitch.
Garrett Anderson, 2,506 hits. His first hit. Ronnie, you remember it?
Yes,
Ronnie should.
I do remember. I started him on his all-star career. Got the base hit off me.
It's been a bit of a struggle for Anderson off the bench here. 5 for 27 against right-handers, but 1 home run.
Late on the fastball, and it's 1-2.
Anderson just never fit into Atlanta, it seemed, last year. He and Casey Kochman, they came over from the Angels, and I don't think they were left. I don't think they were that much well liked in that ball club.
They were their own team. Fouled off Barajas and back.
A lot of that American League stuff evidently going on over there in California, this and California that, and take those Angels and
Of course, Kochman got traded away in the middle of the season, and that left Anderson on an island there. 1-2 to Garrett Anderson with Rafael Furcal on deck. The Mets have a left-hander up in the bullpen. Struck him out. Nieve keeping the ball away from Garrett Anderson. That's the first out of the inning.
No, Nieve throwing hard here. And good running fastball away. Starts out a strike and runs away from the plate. Expanding the strike zone, as the pitchers love to say.
So 1 out and 1 on now for Call, who struck out twice and then singled to right center against Santana. Johan went 6 innings, allowed no runs and 4 hits, walked 3, struck out 6, lowered his season ERA to 2.08 through 5 starts. It's not Mike Pelfrey, but it's not bad.
Hey, guys, we're always talking about the defense up there in the outfield. We got a shot always from Billy Webb, but down here, Razor Shines has a piece of paper in his pocket. He pulls it out, and he just directed all 3 of the outfielders into their position. Bay to his left and in.
1-1 to Furcal.
Well, Jerry, you can see David Wright not guarding the line.
You always have to play in against Furcal and his speed.
I just always believe in guarding the line with a 1-run lead or a tie. Oh, it's a 2. Yeah, that's right. The tying runs at the plate.
Lifted to left over toward the line. And Bay at the dead run, sliding, but it's out of play. That is such a hard play on any day, but particularly today with that wind blowing the ball back toward the infield.
I, like Keith, have been so surprised by Bay's speed. I'm talking about baseball speed. You know, if he ran a 40-yard dash at the football combine, I'm sure he's not going to break 4.5. But his baseball speed, playing in left center and being able to get to that baseball, now Razor Shines has moved him 5 steps towards the line. With Neve pitching the Furcal, give him a better chance to catch something down that left field line.
Oh, sure. Now you tell me. 1-2 to Furcal as the plastic blows across your field of vision. Who has more of a detriment on a windy day like this, the pitcher or the hitter?
Well, I always felt the hitter had it the most difficult because the sand is blowing in their eyes. It's really swirling down there. The pitcher's hot. You're on that mound, you're throwing the pitch, you're sweating. The only person not cold on the field is the pitcher.
Foul back.
I always think that I never liked cold weather to swing. So I hated Candlestick Park. I always thought this is almost Candlestick Park weather. And it could very well be. I mean, it's a lot it's colder, but I always felt I couldn't get loose. And even after your 4th at bat and you're warm in the middle of the game, it just every at bat was like you were playing in the Arctic.
1-2 to Furcal. Fouled away.
I think the worst conditions would make Candlestick so difficult, and I think even you folks at home can relate. Nothing makes you more tired and wears you down in cold weather than wind that blows on your face, in your eyes, on your body all day. It really wears you out. At the end of the day at Candlestick Park on a brutal day or night, I mean, you were just exhausted after the game.
How about as a fielder with stuff blowing around? Does it get distracting at times?
Well, you just have to. I never liked it in front of the pitcher or directly behind him on the outfield grass. The infield grass. I could deal with the outfield grass. What I didn't like about Candlestick Park, and I'll say it after this pitch.
Furcal, it's a double play ball right at Reyes. Out at second. Castillo to first. Double play. Side retired. So Nieve gets the double play, 6-4-3. Carroll going in hard at second base, but Castillo makes the turn.
to you by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Mike Ty of Flushing, New York. By StubHub, it's easier than ever to buy and sell Mets tickets on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. And by Chevy, find your nearest dealer on ChevyOffers.com or call 877-64-CHEVY. Rookie right-hander John Link takes over the pitching for the Dodgers, making just his second appearance. Called up when Vicente Padilla went on the disabled list.
And I'll finish my thought about Candlestick Park. What I hated about Candlestick Park was most parks have their outfield lights in the gaps in right center field and left center field and down the line. Candlestick had their two lights more towards center field and like both sides of the scoreboard here at Shea. I mean, not Shea. That's a fine. At City.
$20.
And I could see the light out of the corner of my eye over the right side of the scoreboard. I had to tilt my hat to block the light. That bothered me immensely at night.
Rod Barajas, first man up against John Link in the seventh, and he lines a base hit into center field. So Link's first pitch results in the first hit of the afternoon for Barajas, and the Mets' sixth hit of the game. And now Jeff Francoeur will come up.
Well, that's his happy area. He likes that ball. Beautiful shot, guys, right there. He likes it mid-thigh to knees out over the plate.
So Barajas is aboard, and now Francoeur, who did not start for the first time this season, came in on the double switch with Nieve in the top of the inning.
You know, the one thing I wanted to talk about last inning, but I'll bring it up now as Link's in here. He's replaced Padilla on the roster for the Dodgers to face Francoeur, went into right field on the double switch. Is that can't always tell it as a foul ball down the right field line. Can't always tell in our booth, guys, but we're so enamored with the way that Santana works so quickly. Well, when Nieve came in, he really works a lot slower, so exponentially slower that you can really feel it here in the stands. It's almost like the game has come to a halt when he comes in because he's more deliberate than the quick-working Santana.
Oh, a little splitter there.
Good stop by Martin. Getting a much better job than he did on the wild pitch.
Yes.
You know, guys, Joe Torre was talking today. He's on a committee with all kinds of people throughout baseball, just kind of looking at the game, seeing where improvements can be made, maybe to speed up the game. And he was talking about that with us today. And he noticed a couple of things, and he said, you know, I just paying more attention to different things I hadn't really paid attention to, and that is, you know, the games. And I noticed how many times guys step out and adjust their batter's gloves. And one thing there is we didn't wear batter's gloves, so you know that would eliminate one thing right there.
Pedro Feliciano up in the Mets bullpen. 3-1 to Francoeur, and he takes high, ball 4. So Jeff Francoeur, who was on a record-setting walk pace, at least for him, puts the first two men aboard for the Mets here in the seventh.
And with Pagan slumping, it's quite apparent there'll be a bunt put on here. And try to bust this game open.
Don and Ted Barrett sharing a laugh.
You know, it's interesting. He's sharing a laugh, but Chip Hale is trying to get Pagan's attention because Chip Hale is about to put the bunt on. And Angel was talking to the umpire, and Chip was getting a little frustrated over there. Come on, Angel, I got to give you a sign here.
Plenty of time because Rick Honeycutt's going to go out to the mound now to talk to John Link. So they can give 3 or 4 more signs. And now they'll have face-to-face chat. That always works better anyway, right?
Well, you should know your signs. And we got some activity down that bullpen. The Dodgers have had the left-hander up for quite some time. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. That's on our side. That's, I believe, Valdez.
That's Feliciano. And then the Dodgers have a right-hander up. That's Ramon Troncoso. Mentioned him earlier. He was tied with Nieve for the league lead in appearances coming into the day.
I think Angel just had the conversation with Chip. Hey, Chip, what do I do if I don't get the first one down? Chip Hale said, get the first one down.
With Castillo and Reyes to follow, Dodgers looking for the bunt. Pagan 0 for 3 today. And he lays off and takes low for ball 1. Just the second big league appearance for John Link, and he's put himself into immediate harm's way with Castillo swinging the lead pipe on deck. Dodgers play it straight up, and Link falls behind 2-0.
You notice for Cal on that play, it was a great overhead camera. Al did a great job with the overhead right here down in front of us here. You saw for Cal directly behind the lead runner at second base. So that tells you, with for Cal directly behind the runner, there's no wheel play here. There's no way that for Cal can get over and cover third. So it's a straight bunt play. It gives it away.
Beautiful bunt. Link bobbles and has no play, and everybody's safe. I don't think Link knew that Blake had vacated third base, because when he picked that ball up, it looked like he was thinking about wheeling and throwing to third, but then he bobbled and lost any play.
Well, Blake's got to scream, I got it, I got it. Call him off. Pitcher's looking at the ball. He doesn't know what's behind him. He's focused on the ball. I got it, I got it. I mean, it's Blake's ball. Come on. Nice bunt, by the way.
You know, I will say, guys, from watching on the field here, that Blake could have easily stayed at third.
Yep.
Barajas with no speed at second base. That's a play that Link easily could have got the force out at third.
Good call, Ron.
Blake, I think, was too aggressive in trying to get him to the baseball.
Good call, Ronnie.
So now the Mets with a golden chance to separate this game, working with a 2-0 lead in the seventh. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Castillo, Reyes, and Bay, coming up. Dodgers have to bring the infield all the way in. Castillo is 0 for 3 on the day. Has hit the ball in the air the last 2 times. And Link having trouble throwing strikes. See, for Colin Francoeur, former Atlanta teammates, having a little conversation there, and that's going to be all for Link. Joe Torre on his way to the mound. After ball 1 to Castillo, he'll go to his workhorse Trancoso to try and limit the damage for the Dodgers here in the 7th. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Mets with a 2-0 lead and looking for more in the 7th. We'll be right back. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Another game today, a day game tomorrow, then a well-needed day off before the Mets head to Philadelphia for their first meetings with the first-place Phillies. Ramon Trancoso comes out of the Dodger bullpen. Bases loaded, nobody out. 1-0 to Castillo, and he takes a strike.
Well, Trancoso, you can see right there, is a sinker ball pitcher. See his, wow, he's been in 12 games. That's a workhorse.
He was in 73 games last year for the Dodgers.
Castillo up the middle, base hit. But Rojas scores. Here comes Frank Cora around third. He'll score without a throw. A 2-run single for Luis Castillo doubles the Mets lead to 4-0.
Well, nice hitting by Louis. That's a sinker that didn't quite get there. You know he's looking for a ground ball. Right-hand sinker ball, a left-hand hitter. He's going to go to his bread and butter and try to get a ground ball. And the key here is just not to pull. And everybody is going to score. The Frank Cora behind the lead runner. Nicely done, Luis.
So the Dodger bullpen, which has been flat out awful this year, gives up 2 runs without an out. 2 aboard for Reyes now, and he drops a bunt attempt that's fouled back.
No, Jose. You're hitting third. Swing the bat. 4-0. Swing it. Even if you're leading off, swing it. 4-0.
Hey, guys upstairs, I call that the Beltran play.
I was just about to say the Mets have a number 3 hitter who generally will bunt in these spots. Corners in. 0-1 to Reyes. And he takes load 1-1. The real Carlos is still down in Florida waiting for the okay to begin baseball activities.
It's looking more and more like the, hate to say it, but after the All-Star break.
Reyes 1 for 3 today. Pulled a single into right his last time up. A lot of speed on with Pagan and Castillo. And it's in tight, 2-1.
Hey guys, Pagan and Castillo on the field prior to that last pitch, both looking at each other, both communicating with their eyes. Castillo trying to get a little feel for if Pagan has a thought or is thinking about stealing so he can piggyback and get that steal and double steal. So interesting to watch them looking at each other, figuring out if they're going to take a chance.
Loney might want to get himself out of the baseline.
Well, he can stand there. You just get behind him. If you're the runner, just get your lead behind him.
Time asked for by Reyes. Troncoso last year, 2nd in the National League in innings pitched by a reliever. Only Todd Coffey of the Brewers had more innings. 2-2 to Reyes. Jason Bay on deck. The Dodger closer is Jonathan Brockton. He's been kind of like Frankie Rodriguez was the first few weeks of the season. He hasn't had many chances to save games, and he's been great when he's had a chance, but they've had awful problems getting the ball to him.
Well, this has not been a good road trip for the Dodgers.
And we'll look back at Pagan. Neither middle infielder is really doing much to keep Angel close to the bag there.
Let your man hit right here. If you want to do it with 1 out.
Now for Call edging in. Curveball misses low and a full count to Reyes.
Well, you send your runners. I think you do.
4-0 lead. Why not?
Yep. Now, if you're a middle infielder here now, if they're running with the pitch, you really got to hold your ground. Don't vacate, because it's a potential stolen base. You got to play defense here.
Three and 2 to Reyes. Not going. Grounded slowly. Loney's only play will be at the bag. So that has the effect of a sacrifice, moving Pagan to third and Castillo to second. And with 1 out, Jason Bay will be coming up. Well, Bay got off the schneid in the 4th inning, his first home run as a Met in his 69th at bat of the season. Gave the Mets a 2-0 lead at the time. Jason is 1 for 3 today. So now the Dodgers forced to bring the infield in again. First base open, right on deck, but they're pitching to Bay. And the curveball misses for ball 1. Well, the Dodgers have already issued 2 intentional walks today. 1 to Matthews and 1 to Davis. But not here, even though Wright has been cold with the bat. 2-0. Stays with the breaking ball, and it's 3-0. So they may not be intentionally walking him, but they're not giving Bay anything. And now they'll give him intentional ball 4. So it'll go in the books as an intentional walk. And it'll bring up David Wright with the bases loaded. So that's 3 intentional walks issued by the Dodgers today. First 2 have worked out for them. David Wright will try and spoil this one.
If it gives you any indication up there, guys, what David Wright thought Troncoso was going to do, David barely even watched that at bat by Bay, thinking to me that he knew that they were going to pitch around him.
Well, David singled to center field his last time up, his 998th career hit. And now he has a chance to do some major damage with the bases loaded and 1 out.
David 1-for-1 career off Troncoso.
And he fouls back the first pitch fastball.
So he hasn't seen a lot of them. I'm sure he's looked on the video for whatever that good that is. You tell me.
I don't know. You tell me.
You get an idea, but there's no. I didn't grow up in the video generation. Playing video games.
Good cut by David. 0-2.
You see, you look at David's expression. He knows what is happening. Why am I not getting the barrel of the bat through? Those are pitches to hit.
The last career grand slam, 2006. Now just looking to make contact on 0-2 with Ike Davis on deck.
Nice block by Martin there.
Martin, having let the one go through the 5-hole back in the second inning for the first run of the game, is going to be extra vigilant the rest of this game.
Well, remember last time he was on his knee, one knee? Oh, look where he was there. He was ready in a position to be athletic.
He was almost standing up. Like the Yogi Berra catching stance. Yogi was in the ballpark yesterday. Here's the 1-2 to David. Sing low with the fastball, 2-2. Troncoso facing his 4th batter after John Link started the inning. Both the runs charged to Link. Davis on deck. Two from Troncoso, and Wright takes a call, 3rd strike. 2 out.
Well, I don't know if David was caught in between or looking for a breaking ball. I don't know how you can look for a breaking ball with 2 strikes. You can see he just completely, I bet you he was caught in between. Fanny flies out. Oops. And that means they were full.
By the way, do you notice Martin was down on 1 knee again?
Well, he's an offensive player.
George Sherrill is ready in the Dodger bullpen, the left-hander, and with Ike Davis coming up, Joe Torre's on his way out to the mound, so he's going to bring in the lefty to face Davis with the bases loaded and 2 out. Mets with 2 runs home here in the 7th as Sherrill comes in the game. Coming up next, the Mets hand the ball to Oliver Perez as they continue their doubleheader against Joe Torre's Dodgers here at Citi Field. Mets-Dodgers game 2 coming up next only on SNY. Ollie's pitched pretty well despite that 0-2 record. The knuckleballer Charlie Hager will be on the mound for L.A. There's the bullpen. That's a great shot, isn't it? Ramon Ortiz, the veteran, on the left of the Dodger pen, and Henry Mejia, the rookie, on the right in the Mets bullpen. 33-year-old George Sherrill takes over the pitching.
Look at those walks. Ouch.
Coming in with the bases loaded, and he brushes back Ike Davis.
No, I don't think he brushed him back. He saw the walks. 9 walks in 6 2/3.
He was magnificent last year for the Dodgers after they got him in a deadline deal from the Orioles, where he had been closing games. But he has just been awful so far this year.
Well, this is a good pitch for a hitter right here. 1-0. Guy, it's wild. You should look at the statistics. Look for a nice fastball to hit here. Oh.
Sherrill takes a set there with his back to the hitter,
doesn't he?
Pagan at third, Castillo at second, and Bay at first with 2 out. 2 runs home here in the 7th, and a 4-0 Met lead. Davis lifts one to left, pretty deep, but back goes Johnson, and the wind knocks it down completely. That ends the inning. So the Mets settle for 2 and leave them loaded in the 7th. 4-0 Mets as we head for the 8th.
Game number 1 of a doubleheader here at Citi Field. They lead at 4-0 as Rod Barajas behind the dish for game number 1. And this series is always kind of special for Rod because growing up in California, he grew up in the heart of Fernando Mania. Fernando Valenzuela, of course. Now, Rod's heritage is Mexican. And Rod said, you know, we never even thought about baseball. My dad was never into the sport. It was always about soccer. But once he got there, he said when he pitched at Dodger Stadium, it was like all the Mexican population bought all the tickets. And when he won, we won. He said it was an event, and that is what got me into baseball. So I asked about his interaction with Fernando. Obviously, he's been around the Dodgers for years. He's been their broadcaster now for a long time. And he said, well, my first interaction was as Reed Johnson squares the bunt. It's up in the air. Ike Davis makes the catch, and there's 1 down. And take a look at Fernando getting ready to throw that famed screwball. And Rod said my first interaction was actually back in 1999. I was playing in the Mexican League, and Valenzuela was obviously retired. Well, he came and played in the league in the middle of the year on our team, and I caught him. And I was so in awe, I didn't say a word. I was too scared to say a word. He said by that time he didn't really throw too many screwballs, threw a lot of cutters. And I said, well, did he shake you off a lot? He said, yeah, he did, as a matter of fact. So he at that point really didn't have the heart to talk to him because he was, you know, such an icon to him. So finally last year at the World Baseball Classic, as Andre Ethier bats now for the Dodgers and takes strike 1. Valenzuela was one of the coaches on Team Mexico, so Barajas only then finally went up to him and really got to know him and told him what the impact he had on his baseball career, and he really owes it to him here. A shot here, Gary.
Ethier toward the gap. That'll split him and go to the wall. Ethier jogging to second, and he'll settle for a long double. So Andre Ethier has his first hit of the afternoon. Second time he has smoked the ball today. His second double of the year.
Oh, I like that young man. He's got a nice swing. Too much plate. Went right and got it. Speaking of Fernando, those shots we had of Fernando were early in his career. He was actually quite trim for Fernando.
Yeah,
Fernando
well, came up and he was 19 years old.
Well, you think?
Allegedly.
You think?
I have no evidence to the contrary.
I have no evidence to the contrary either, but it did raise eyebrows.
So now Matt Kemp with a runner at second and one out. The fifth Dodger hit of the day. The first off Nieve, working his second inning. Kemp is 0 for 3 and takes a fastball for a strike.
One thing for sure about Fernando Valenzuela, he was a star pitcher. He not only had the screwball, he had a good curveball. And the first 2 years he was up, he had pop on his fastball.
Well, he was a phenomenon. The only two guys I can compare his impact to from day one were Vida Blue,
yes,
and Mark Fidrich.
Yes. Agreed.
But Fernando, you know, he wound up having a pretty long career. Fastball, strike 3 call. Kept down looking for the second out. Second strikeout for Nieve. Let's check in with Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. And now Casey Blake will step in. 0 for 2. He struck out twice against Santana after walking his first time up. And he swings and misses. Let me ask you this, Keith, because I was puzzling about this. Joe Torre had to decide which order to throw his pitchers today. And I know Charlie Hager hasn't been great so far, but he's a knuckleballer. Don't you think that a first game knuckleballer might set a tone that might mess up hitters for the second game?
It could. Then again, he could have an early shower. It looks like he's been taking early showers lately. And so far this season, he hasn't been very successful. He's 0-2 with an ERA almost 6.5. 15 innings pitched, 12 walks. That looks like it's his problem. 3 home runs. So yes and no, Gary.
I mean, in your experience,
it never carried over to the next pitcher when I faced Phil or Joe Niekro.
0-2 to Casey Blake. And Nieve, although the radar gun may not show it, seems to be true to his word about throwing harder in his second inning. Well, seems to have a lot more life in his second inning of work. The man who came in from the cold is back.
Richard Burton.
I was moving pretty fast up those steps. I tell you, it's pretty cold. Richard Burton, very nice.
John le Carre's novel. Spy who came in from the cold.
2-2 to Blake.
And by the way, happens to be one of my favorite writers. I like his old stuff. His new stuff's a little bit too anti-American for me, but his old stuff, I've read around 8 of his books. Just wonderful.
The Cold War was his friend.
Tinker Tailor, Soldier Spy. It was brilliant.
2-2 from Nieve. Tapped on the ground to second. Castillo right in front of it. And 2 beautiful innings in relief for Fernando Nieve. Mets get great pitching again today. balanced or unbalanced schedule, and people like to be balanced. Right now you play 18 or 19 games against teams in your own division, 6 generally against teams from the other division in your own league, and then throw in 15 or 18 interleague games into the mix.
I know we're not really supposed to talk about our day, but I will say that when the Dodgers used to come in twice a year to Shea Stadium, that was quite an event in the 80s.
Yep, packed.
Well, after George Sherrill went to the mound to start the inning, Fernando Tatis was announced into the game as a pinch hitter, so Joe Torre will respond by bringing in a right-hander, which means we might get to see Frank Catalanato on his birthday. Dodgers go to the bullpen. We'll be right back. .36-year-old Ramon Ortiz takes over the pitching for the Dodgers.
Ortiz has been all over the place. Anaheim was where he spent the beginning of his career when he was a starting pitcher.
Tatis left in against the right-hander, lifts one to center, and Kemp battling the wind puts it away for the first out. And like most members of that Dodger bullpen, the numbers are not pretty for Ortiz.
Trying to see his numbers there, but I find it interesting that Catalanato was not given a shot there. You know, on a bench where you're starving to get some at bats, especially your pinch hitters. I thought that Cat might get a shot there.
Frank celebrating his 36th birthday today, so even if you don't get in the game, Frank, happy birthday. Maybe he'll play in the second game today. Well, Pedro Feliciano getting ready to pitch the ninth inning as Jerry's used a little different plan in this game, getting 2 innings out of Nieve, trying to stay away from K-Rod if he can. In game 1, you got another game today and a day game tomorrow.
Well, the 2 runs driven in by Castillo.
Barajas lifts one to left, and Johnson coming in hard and just manages to make the basket catch. Boy, that wind is just killing it today. Let's check in the studio. Gary Apple standing by to let us know what's coming up on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thank you so much. Coming up tonight, more on Johan and the Mets, plus Adelius Thomas. Is he on his way to the Jets? We'll hear what the general manager, Mike Tenenbaum, has to say at a giant rival with some very bold comments today. We'll have it all. See you tonight, guys.
Gary with a nice suit. You like that?
He's always naffily dressed. Hey, let me tell you, that you saw that play that Reed Johnson just made. When I was down there where the bases were loaded, Ike Davis hit that ball to left. He covered that ball. It just got up in that wind. The wind is blowing straight in from left field.
Weather Service tells us 23 miles an hour, gusting to 36 out of the northwest.
That's when you'll be down there, Keith.
No. Well, I'm going to try to be a little combination of Philip Habib and Henry Kissinger, my producer.
Very nice. Drop a little Dag Hammarskjöld in there.
Francora for the second time drew a walk and scored a run in that 2-run seventh inning. That's 9 walks now for Frenchie this year. 23 all of last year. It's not even the end of April. 2-2 from Ortiz. Breaks his bat and pops it up. And Jamie Carroll is there. So a 1-2-3 inning for Ramon Ortiz. And it looks like Pedro Feliciano will get the ninth, looking to complete the shutout. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Subway. Eat fresh. By Ford. Check out the best-selling vehicles in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealer today. By Delta. New York's most global airline is a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Volkswagen. And by Chili's. Go to www.chilisbaseball.com for free chips and queso and enter to win a VIP baseball trip to see how the pros prepare. Brought to you by Chili's. It's all in the preparation.
You mispronounced it.
No, I did.
It did. It was...
From preparation to perpetual Pedro.
There we go.
Don't pop your peas. 11th outing for Feliciano, who has been nothing short of brilliant. James Loney takes the first pitch fastball for a strike. Loney 0 for 3 today. The Dodgers have been held to 5 hits. Santana gave up 4 of them over his 6 innings. Fernando Nieve allowed 1 hit in his 2 scoreless innings. K-Rod just tossing just in case. 0-2 to Loney. Mets are looking for their 4th shutout already. This is only the 20th game of the season. A breaking ball line right at Castillo. 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by to let us know what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury postgame live. Turducken?
I didn't know this was a cooking show also.
I didn't know he tuned into Rachel Ray.
Bobby's more of an Emerald guy. I can see him saying damn at times.
Russell Martin 1 for 2 and a walk. And takes the changeup away, 1-1. Well, Mets starting pitching has been brilliant. 12 straight games now. Mets starter has allowed 3 runs or less. And their ERA over that span is microscopic. 2-1 to Martin. With Jamie Carroll to follow. Game 2 coming up right after Game 1 with Oliver Perez against Charlie Hager in the nightcap. Old-fashioned twilight doubleheader.
Hey, Keith, you're talking about Mr. Martin at times when it's 2 strikes and he gets on a knee. Well, that'd be a good thing for us when we were playing because you'd get the guy to whistle at you. The only time he goes on his knee when the pitcher with 2 strikes and guy in third, it's a fastball. You get the guy on deck, give you a little whistle. Know what's coming.
Looking for that edge.
Ball 4 and Feliciano walks Martin. So the Dodgers have a 1-out base runner. And Jamie Carroll will come up to hit.
Jamie Carroll's had a Jamie Carroll night. A couple of walks, a blue pit, made all the plays.
On 3 straight times. And Carroll takes the first pitch for a strike. Ronnie Belliard has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter. You see Davis playing behind Martin at first. And a fastball call strike. 0-2 to Carroll. There's Belliard, the veteran. He did such a great job for the Dodgers last year after they picked him up.
I don't know what his numbers are, but he seems like a Met killer to me.
Well, he certainly was when he was with the Cardinals.
No. He did a good job for the Cardinals when they picked him up when the Cardinals went on and won the World Series.
Just inside 1 and 2. And then in Washington, he seemed to have some big hits against the Mets as well.
And it was one of the reasons he was brought over here late in the season for the playoff run for the Dodgers.
He supplanted Orlando Hudson last year, which was a shock to everybody around baseball. 1-2 to Carroll. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 2 down in the 9th.
Well, you usually don't see Pedro get strikeouts up in the strike zone, but that's where Barajas called for it. Pedro hit the glove and by Carroll.
So the Dodgers are down to their final out, and Belliard will be the pinch hitter. Off to a good start this year with the bat. Two out of the 9th, and Belliard takes low and away for ball 1. If Belliard can keep it going, Rafael Furcal would be next. And a fastball strike, 1-1. Blake DeWitt on deck to bat for Furcal. That's interesting. Wonder if something happened to Furcal. Ripped. Foul. And now the Dodgers are down to their final strike.
Didn't go in the clubhouse, didn't go in the locker room. Training room is out there. Rafael Furcal, that is.
Feliciano trying to put on the finishing touches of the Mets' 5th straight win. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Feliciano finishes with a flourish with back-to-back strikeouts. The Mets have won 5 straight. They have their 4th shutout win of the year as Santana gets the win as they take the opener from the Dodgers 4-0.
Well, just an outstanding effort on the pitching end by the Mets. Santana, a little bending but no breaking as he pitches 6 shutout innings. It seems like every day, or Nightly Nieve, who seems to come in every game, pitches his 2 shutout innings. And of course, going to Feliciano to finish it up. Worthing and Jerry, of course, talking to the umpire, who's letting them know how much time will be in between the games.
And go ahead, Gary. Run the game summary. Ron covered it.
Jason Bay with his first home run as a New York Met, providing the second run of the day after the Mets got the first on a wild pitch. And Johan Santana and the bullpen did the rest.